Can I ask you all something? You see in the Old Testament, pardon me, just slurping my Coca-Cola. Sorry, you see in the Old Testament where Moses is now communicating with God in a tent, a physical tent put up by instructions from God. And Moses walks into the tent, isn't it? Every now and then. And he communicates with the Lord, comes back out with wisdom, face glowing. But what happens? The face starts to fade. The light that was shining on his face when he came out of the tent after days fades away until he goes again. And then the glow comes back. And what we are told specifically in the Bible is that the people, that is everyone but Moses, was categorically instructed not to go into the tent, for they will die if they see the Lord, i.e. God. So, what that brings me to is this question. Exactly why would they have died had they seen God? God not being a quote-unquote demonic entity. What would have destroyed them so much so that they die by bearing the face, and I put that in quotes, of God? Well, if you ask me, I simply think they're referring to the third eye. The third eye is what I get from that scripture. Not that they mention a third eye, but the fact that they mention that you will die if you see the face of the Lord. And only Moses. Second question, why is it Moses was the only one out of the whole tribe at that given time that could bear the face of God, not die? The answer is simple, my dearly beloved. The reason why me and you and everyone else but Moses would have died had we bared the face of God in that day and time is simply because our frequencies weren't in line with God. The God that was communicating with Moses, that Moses was communicating with, yes. They were not in line with his frequency or her frequency or its frequency. But Moses' frequency, for whatever reason, be it karmic, be it through good works, well, he murdered someone, didn't he? Or combination of both, good works, bad works, and karma, and him just putting the effort in trying to raise his vibration, which isn't documented in the Bible. Again, we're just given summaries, innit, of Moses' life. A lot of the time, he just jumps in and jumps out. We're not really told what he was doing all those days for those 40 years or whatever in the wilderness. It's a very long time. I'm 27. I've not reached 30. This man was in the desert for 40 years. He was living as an exile for 40 years. And 4 plus 0 is the number of hard work. In fact, people talk about the lucky number 7 and, you know, the number 7 and the number 9 being the ultimate spiritual numbers. If you ask me, it's number 4. For any of you out there who know about number divination, i.e. numerology, you will know what the number 4 represents. The number 4 represents divinity through hard work, which is what we all need to go through in order to connect. And for whatever reasons that we are not told, Moses activated the number 4, and he was now connecting with God. But only he, because he put in the work sufficient to get the attention and to get the, let's say, job, the instructions. Now, could it be that, in fact, it wasn't that God just likes people dying and whoever was to go into the tent would die simply because he likes to kill people? But could it be because if other people did what Moses did in terms of activating the number 4 and bearing the face of God, could it be that people would not have been able to handle it? Had they gone in and seen what was there, could they handle such? They couldn't. But Moses could. And this is an important message for each and every one of you out there. Because whilst the Bible and religion would have you think that these certain men in our history who got to certain levels only could get to certain levels because they're somehow more special than you, they are demo men. They are demonstrations. And Moses could bear the face of God without dying and actually having a lovely glow in his face for days because he was consciously awakening himself. The others were very ignorant, naive, as we know, with the calf and everything. In fact, it could be argued that they contributed to Moses' demise. He was fed up with them, isn't it? Because they were so unawakened whilst he was awakened. So if it was that everybody, Moses included, knew how to contact, how to interact, how to function with the alchemy, that is communicating with God on a level of knowing, then yes, anybody could have gone into the tent. But it's pointing to the third eye because you see, people, in fact, there are many, many times in the Bible, for example, when, Sodom and Gomorrah is being destroyed and the angel tells the family not to look back and the woman looks back and she's turned into a pillar of salt. And in other stories where there's doom coming or there's something going to be sanctioned, and the angel always says, don't look back. There's a reason they're saying that. It's not because they are just playing around. It's because they know that you are not ready to see it with your eyes, your carnal eyes. That's why you dream a lot. That's why your intuitions and the things you experience on an ethereal level are not seen with your 2 eyes. If any eye they're seen with, is your third eye. And that's because as human beings, we cannot begin to imagine what the reality is. Yet we can get to know it through our third eye. So Moses and other examples that I've just given point to the fact that as carnal beings, we need to raise ourselves in order to function with higher beings, in order to connect with higher beings, in order to be our own messiahs. Because that's what messiahship is all about. It is Aquarian in that aspect. It's all about you as an individual being your messiah whilst being a messiah in a group. And that is the case for everybody. Yet we are told by institutions for centuries, if not thousands of years, that no, one person got to the top and he was more special than everybody else. And he got there and we all need to worship him and not do anything ourselves and just rely everything on that one man, that one entity, that one soul. All souls must rely on that one soul to get to the promised land. Not that that one soul came to show everybody how to do it so that every soul can get there, because it's a personal journey. So open your third eye, awaken yourself. This whole talk of opening your third eye, don't become religious with it and take it literal. Take it figuratively. Opening your third eye is all about opening yourself to experiences, new experiences, might I say. And until you do that, you are unawakened, like those who would have died had they gone into the tent and bared the face of God. And yet you can bear the face of God. And that is simply by being open. Drop your ego. Remember I quoted Mark 8:34 the other day? Well, I missed that an important part. And what Jesus said before, he said to those that you must take up your cross and follow him, he said, deny yourself. So you need to drop your ego. It's not all about you. Things as they seem to you are not the reality. It is just a part of that. So if you see things absolute from your perspective, you can't go into the tent. And yet we're all invited to. The priests won't tell you this in church, by the way. They won't. And that is the jig. That is the conspiracy. If you're not into conspiracy theories, you go to church for 6 months and come back to me with a report. And then we can continue this conversation. But if you have done that already, you will know what I'm saying. Jesus had a great message. A message that is so great, even in its defilement today, it can still be appreciated. Because the truth is the truth. But we need to know the truth, not believe in it. So open your third eye, open yourself, and go into the tent. Peace.